Ron Hudson, Kim Fisher, and Dan Pope. Good for Utah.
Before the break, we introduced you to 7 brave men who are publicly discussing their history of sexual violence. So just how prevalent is this problem? We continue male abuse survivors. According to the National Sexual Violence Resource Center, 1 in 6 men has been sexually abused, most as children. Now let's put that into perspective. Rice-Eccles Stadium seats 47,000 people.
If you think that 75% of the people at a football game are male, that translates to about 35,800. If you use the statistic 1 in 6 men, that means in the stadium there's about 6,000 men who are male survivors at a football game.
Because many people don't want to recognize this kind of sexual violence even happens, many men are shunned when they do disclose their attack. Who was the first person you told, and what was the reaction?
We reached out, we tried to ask for help. We got told we were going to get help. And they basically came back and asked us why we were lying.
I went to a doctor to get some tests on STD tests, and his reaction was, all right, we'll get on that, and walked out.
Those negative reactions just compounded the feelings of shame, guilt, and anger these men were already experiencing. What was the effect on your life?
Intimacy is it's like one of the hardest things in the world, because the people that loved you are the ones that hurt you.
Each man's response was different, but Struve says their reactions were all typical of male victims.
When it first happened, I just kind of threw myself into work. You know, I figured if I could be perfect, then it would all go away.
For the longest time, I told myself and others that there was no effect from it, that I didn't have any of the effects.
While it took many of these men years, even decades, to disclose their assault, they say speaking out was life-changing. Has talking with folks and meeting other survivors, has that helped you a little, and if it has, how?
It's helped me a lot. I think one of the things that's helped me is having people to connect with and that understand this experience.
Being able to embrace my past and no longer be ashamed of it was extremely freeing.
Now, they hope others can learn from this panel discussion. What would you say is the #1 most common misconception when it comes to male survivors?
It happens. It happens to a lot of men. And it doesn't mean that they're weak. It doesn't mean that they're unable to protect themselves. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with them or they're broken.
Is there anything that you guys would want to tell parents?
Well, #1, believe your children. You know, children don't make things up. And when they say they don't want to go to somebody's house, don't make them go to their house. When they don't want to hug somebody, don't make them hug somebody.
And if you have suffered abuse, these men say it's never too late to talk to someone.
If you're 20 or you're 80 years old, it doesn't matter. You can start now, and you can start healing now.
Some more advice from Jim Struve. Parents, it may be uncomfortable having that conversation with your child about their bodies and touch, but he says it's very important. He also says try to create an environment where your children feel comfortable talking with you about anything. And if you are a survivor, you're looking for support, we have posted several resources on our website. Just go to goodforutah.com.
Time now for Utah's